As they were watching, he was lifted up, and a cloud took him out of their sight. Now, I can't paint you a picture of how that happened or what it looked like. And I don't think the author of Acts could either. He was probably speaking metaphorically, and he was in any event drawing on the accounts of others. So this remains a mystery, a part of a larger mystery, that Jesus could transcend death, to which there were hundreds of witnesses. And this is part of an even greater mystery, that God should love us, imperfect us, so much that he would appear among us in the person of Jesus. That is the great mystery upon which Christianity is founded, and it has been passed on to us by those who experienced that mystery in the reality of their own lives. But in the world we live in today, secular men and women don't seem to be satisfied with mystery. And having rejected the faith that they may have been brought up in as preposterous or too hard to believe or irrelevant to the present day or for whatever reason, having rejected that faith, they then seek other beliefs. And what the secular person wants, it seems to me, is facts. And if you can't find them, you will find what he feels are facts in order to support what he believes is reality. In short, he wants to advance his own agenda. He wants to believe that human beings can figure out the universe and make it work better, as though the universe didn't work fine just the way it is. And I ask you, how's that working for us? The truth is that our very lives are based on mystery. Do we have any hope of understanding the mystery of life itself, let alone death and what is beyond death? Instead, let's look back 2,000 years to the essential mystery revealed by Christ. And I use the word essential in its most literal form, of the essence. That which is the essence, that which is the mystery and source of life and the world we live in. That is the God of love, whom we worship and strive to follow. Now, the reading from Acts this morning was the first verses of that book. The resurrection and the time spent by the risen Christ with his disciples, the author has already described in Luke. These are the verses where Acts begin because it is the point at which the works, the acts of the apostles begin with the ascension of Christ. Consider what has happened in the lives of those disciples. They've had this time of deep communion with Jesus during his ministry, culminating with the Last Supper. And then Jesus is taken away from them and murdered, betrayed by one of their own. A new reality, a new terrible reality, a new normal. Their loss and fear are then replaced with an amazed joy as Jesus appears to them, revealed as the risen Christ. Another new normal, a time of learning about the depths of God's love, a time of inner peace and fulfillment. And now Jesus disappears again, whisked away from them into heaven, never again to be with them in the flesh. Another new normal. Yet Luke tells us that despite that loss, knowing that they will never see Jesus in the flesh again, they return to Jerusalem with great joy, and in the temple they continually bless God. You know, people don't like change, especially big changes that happen quickly. The disciples at the ascension found themselves again at a loss, staring into the sky. Yet whatever trepidation they may have felt about Jesus' final departure, they're joyful. Their teacher is revealed to be their Redeemer. And then two men in white robes, the garb of angels, announce that Jesus will someday return. And they also say, "Men of Galilee, why do you stand looking up into heaven?" That is, what are you just doing standing there? You won't find Christ in the clouds. You'll find him here, in this world, all around you. Jesus has said, "You will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth." There is work to do. There is the gospel to be lived and to be preached, to proclaim what Christ has done. And so Jesus has made his disciples into his apostles, those who are sent forth to proclaim the gospel and to do the work of Christ, which is what Jesus commands us to do. And as we love him, so we will do, however difficult or awkward it seems. And God often places us in difficult or awkward situations. It can feel like a hard, even a confusing demand to set aside our own plans, desires, and hopes, our own agenda, just to follow God's will, God's agenda. We can feel set upon, not wishing to do whatever apparently arduous task God has set before us. Not because we fear the task itself, but because we fear change. Any kind of change produces a reaction of fear in us at first. Have you ever felt that way? Have you felt trepidation when you know things are going to change? And God is directing you one way and that's not the way you want to go? Have you ever felt that? Have you ever wondered what's coming now? Wishing that everything could be just the way it was, the way it used to be? How about right now? Wishing things could be the way they were before you had even heard the word coronavirus. But you can't step into the same river twice. You know you can't go back to the way that things were before. Just the way the disciples could not go back to their old relationship with Jesus. You know that God has work for you to do, and that may give you joy to know that you can do something for God. He did for the disciples. And yet again, you might fear the outcome, even as did the newly minted apostles when they went out into a world which was largely hostile to them, to serve their Lord and Savior and to proclaim his gospel of love. Now, as I said, last week I was asked to be moderator of Presbytery, and I agreed to do that. First I asked, why me? I literally said, why me? I mean, I'm wondering, am I qualified to do this? I've only been a pastor in this presbytery for 2 years. So I said, why me? They didn't really give me a good answer. It's just that they said, well, the committee agreed on you. And I kind of felt like, you know, by the time they got to the bottom of the V list, I was the only one who would say yes. But it seemed that God was calling me to do this. I don't know why. But I wonder, how is this going to turn out? What's God going to be teaching me in this moment? In fact, what is God going to be teaching Presbytery? God only knows. But not knowing what I'm getting into, really, I'm going to go ahead and do it, because I think I'm supposed to do that. God calls on me to do that, and in love I respond. And hasn't Jesus told us over and over and over again not to fear? Hasn't he said, my yoke is easy and my burden is light? With faith, with a conversion of heart, comes the assurance that God is in charge. And that assurance is our hope. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Anytime we do something that we are asked to do by the Spirit of God, we know things are going to turn out right. It may be painful. It may not be the way we want things to turn out, but it will turn out right. Paul said to the church at Ephesus that our faith may give us the spirit of wisdom, so that with the eyes of your heart enlightened, you may know what is the hope of which he has called you, what are the riches of his glorious inheritance among the saints, and what is the immeasurable greatness of his power for us who believe. Faith equips us with hope, with strength, and in the end, gives us the peace of Christ. Amen.